afternoon, good evening to all of you, depending on where you are logging in from. And we want to welcome you to this second Qatar webinar, Qatar 10 webinar, which will build on our first webinar that focused on the history and milestones of the Qatar program. And during this particular webinar, we'll be looking at one specific aspect, one strong aspect of Qatar, which is on the mainstreaming of CARTA interventions in our different institutions. So I want to encourage each of us attendees to make use of the chat box and also the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and also engage us on Twitter during this particular session. We are really grateful that we could have 3 panelists with us who will speak into the whole area of mainstreaming CARTA interventions in our partner institutions. So you are most welcome to this particular webinar. As we wait for other attendees to join in, I'll start off by just giving us a reflection of where we've come from as CARTA and also as higher education in Africa. So over the last 10 years or more, we've had a lot of attention being given to higher education, and there's been a great drive towards embracing higher education as a driver to development within the African region. And more specifically, universities and the role of universities in providing evidence and also expertise to the development agendas within Africa have come into focus. Accordingly, and in recognition of the great responsibility placed on universities to influence Africa's development agenda, CARTA specifically, as mentioned in the last webinar, was established in the year 2008, and it was designed with the aim of enhancing the capacity of African universities to lead globally competitive research and training programs. Through the CARTA program, we also aimed at building vibrant, viable, sustainable, multidisciplinary research hubs at African universities and creating networks of locally trained, international recognized scholars. And we just want to share with you a bit of where CARTA has come from by sharing a small PowerPoint presentation with you for greater understanding of where CARTA has come from. So as mentioned before, CARTA's aim is to change the whole perspective of the role of higher education in the African region. And based on this, CARTA has partnered with 8 universities CARTA has partnered with 8 universities in Africa. That's the University of Ibadan, Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria, Makerere University, Moi University, University of Nairobi, University of Rwanda, University of Malawi, and the University of Witwatersrand, in addition to other non-African partner institutions. We have 8 non-African partner institutions that have also partnered with CARTA to ensure that the aims, the goal, and the vision of CARTA comes to pass. In addition to those institutions, we have 4 research institutions that have also partnered with CARTA to ensure that the direction of CARTA is accomplished through this particular consortium. As mentioned before, the aims of CARTA are to enhance the capacity of African universities to lead globally competitive research and training programs, to build vibrant, viable, sustainable, multidisciplinary research hubs at African universities, and to create networks of locally trained, internationally recognized scholars. So far, based on the endeavors that CARTA has had for the last 10 years, we have had 10 cohorts come on board since the year 2011. We've also been able to enroll 230 fellows in the CARTA program. CARTA has also had 92 of its fellows graduate, and it is still counting the number on. CARTA has also given a lot of focus to the gender parity aspect, and an amazing aspect of CARTA is the number of female fellows who have been able to come on board as part of the CARTA program. In order to push CARTA to the next level, several interventions have been born through the CARTA program, and the interventions have contributed to ensuring that we have high quality of fellows and that we are able to build the capacity of the various partner institutions to support the CARTA fellows. So far, as one of the interventions, CARTA has introduced the Joint Advanced Seminars, also known as the JAZIS, and has had 230 of its fellows go through these particular seminars, whose purpose is to enhance research competencies among the fellows. CARTA has also introduced the Supervisors Workshop as another intervention, and the aim of the Supervisors Workshop has been to enhance the supervision capacity of the supervisors, enhance the levels of commitment, and expose the supervisors to different aspects of doctoral training supervision for purposes of greater, of higher quality of supervision within the doctoral programs that the different supervisors are supporting. 68 of the CARTA fellows have also been able to go through graduate workshops. And the aim of the graduate workshops is to build the capacity of the graduate to develop strong research grants and also become research leaders. Another strong intervention of the CARTA program has been that of the introduction of the faculty and the administration staff seminars, whose aim is to enhance the understanding of the faculty and staff members who are supporting postgraduate students to be able to support the students and the training in a better manner. Beyond these particular interventions, CARTA has also come up with other interventions. And just to mention some of the other interventions, CARTA has introduced an academic writing component into its fellowship. CARTA has also introduced a mechanism of monitoring the progress of its fellows. CARTA is very keen on looking at the gender sensitivity aspect and has also developed policies that relate to gender sensitivity. Within the program, internship opportunities have been given to the CARTA fellows. Supervision contracts are signed between the fellows and their supervisors as part of the intervention mechanisms that have been introduced. And finally, CARTA allows for its fellows to move from one institution to another and be registered for their doctoral training within the African partner institutions. So having said this, we have on board with us 3 panelists who have been drawn from our partner institutions and have been quite active. In fact, they have spearheaded the mainstreaming of CARTA interventions within their own institutions. This is based on the fact that CARTA realizes that for purposes of sustainability of the program as a whole, and for purposes of diffusing some of its gains to other institutions, it is important for us to mainstream the various interventions. So as we proceed, and as we engage more of our panelists, I want to remind us that we could use our chat boxes and also our Q&A boxes to engage us more on what you think about mainstreaming of interventions within an institution. Also feel free to go through our Twitter handle and engage us using the hashtag CARTA10. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce our three panelists, and I'll request them to introduce themselves. And I think I will start with Francio, and then we will go to Funke, and we will go to Sande. Francio, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Flora, for organizing this interesting conversation. As you have already mentioned, my name's Niragire Francois. I am a senior lecturer of applied statistics at University of Rwanda, where I teach on undergraduate, master's, and doctoral programs. And I am currently mentoring 3 PhD students, 2 master's students, and 2 undergraduate students. I do also conduct research on economics of education, maternal and child health, and the other domain of public and global health. Most of my research output are open access, and one can get more details by just Googling. In addition to the academic duties, I assume some administrative duties at the same University of Rwanda. First, I am a director for research and innovation at the College of Business and Economics, where I am in charge of providing leadership for research and innovation activities and coordinate the implementation of the university strategic plan for research. Connected to this position, I am chair of the college research screening and ethical clearance committee that serves as an internal review board of the college. And I am also a member of the University of Rwanda Research and Innovation Committee. That is a subcommittee of the University Academic Senate for all matters related to research and innovation. So connected to today's conversation, I led the project, I led the team that implemented the project that was aiming to mainstream CARTA intervention at the University of Rwanda between 2017 and 2019. I am CARTA graduate, cohort 1, and these are the few and key roles that I am playing up today, in addition to serving on different ad hoc committees at university. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Francio Niragire. We'll go on to Funke.
Okay, thank you, Flora. So I am Funke Fayeun. I teach demography and social statistics in the Department of Sociology at the University of Ibadan. I am University of Ibadan co-focal person in the consortium with Professor Akin Kelmi Godun, and I'm the new chairperson of the CARTA Board of Management. I also coordinate the 4-week joint advanced seminar, hosted on behalf of CARTA at the University of Ibadan. For us, the University of Ibadan is a partner in the consortium, and through the CARTA initiative, we have 36 early career researchers, and they have received fellowship to pursue their doctoral program at an institution, another partner institution in the continent. So we are glad to be part of this conversation, and I'm glad to be part of this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Funke. Pande, over to you.
All right, thanks, Flora, and it's my pleasure to be part of this panel. I'd like to thank you for inviting me, and also greetings to everyone wherever you are participating in this webinar. My name is Sunday Adedini. I had my PhD in Demography and Population Studies from Rwanda University in 2013, and thereafter took up a postdoctoral program also at West University. So between 2007 and to the recent time, I taught demography at the Department of Demography and Population Studies of Bafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife here in Nigeria. My research focus has mainly been at demography, investigating the influences of the familiar and contextual influence on the health outcome of children, women and adolescents. Recently I participated, was involved in the multi-country project as child health and mortality prevention surveillance, which runs in 7 countries to determine the definitive cause of death among children below the age of 5. I led a component of that project in Soweto, South Africa. And so back here in Nigeria, I've been involved in capacity building. So it's my passion, as I'm being mentored by senior colleagues. It's also my passion to mentor younger colleagues as well. So I've been involved in this department, demography department at OAU. Connected to that, in my role, also leading the bid to raise the institutionalization grant of CARTA, together with other colleagues in the university, Professor Jadola, Professor Akinyemi, Professor Joshua Lansiola, Melvin Agumbiade, Professor Bambui, and other colleagues. So we raised the fund, and then with a view to mainstreaming some of the CARTA innovations to improve the quality of doctoral training at the Obafemi Awolowo University. Together with Francois, we're in the same cohort 1, and so it's my pleasure to be part of this panel, and I look forward to a very exciting session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunday. One aspect that I have noted is the fact that the mainstreaming projects that have been taking place in the institutions make use of the focal persons. And it is quite amazing to see the CARTA fellows take up roles of leading or even spearheading what is happening in terms of mainstreaming projects that are taking place within the institution. The 3 panelists also mentioned the fact that they are leading mainstreaming projects. And a word that has been used alongside mainstreaming has been institutionalization. And based on what the 3 panelists will take us through, they will take us through the process of mainstreaming, which also includes the aspects of institutionalization. For purposes of their various projects, the word institutionalization was used for purposes of supporting the different endeavors that were taking place within the universities. And I just want to pose this question back to the 3 panelists and ask, what are these particular projects that you have institutionalized or are in the process of mainstreaming at your universities? Please share with us, what are the specific strategies that are in these particular projects, and what is the project all about. So I will start once more with Francio, and we'll go on with the same order that we had for now, to Funke and then to Sunday. Francio, over to you. Francio, I think you're muted.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me say that mainstreaming CARTA intervention at University of Rwanda was an opportunity for us to identify and address an important gap in the university mission to deliver higher education in Rwanda. It was also our responsibility to show that we were able to fill that gap by mainstreaming innovations from CARTA interventions. So the first step was just to identify that gap and show that you can actually fill it. So there existed a gap in doctoral training at University of Rwanda, where policy and regulations required the students enrolled in PhD programs to undertake an advanced research methodology course, but such a course was not available at the university. So doctoral students, they had to take it from elsewhere in Rwanda or abroad, or just the course could be waived under certain circumstances that were specified in the regulations. But we found that it was really a gap in our doctoral training. So as our response, we proposed an institutional project that was titled Intra-University Collaboration for Advanced Research Training at University of Rwanda. So as I present, I want to share one slide that would give a summary to our participants. And let me share. I don't know. Oh, let me continue. I can't get the sharing tool, so.
Francio, you could also speak into it. That would be fine for you to just speak into it.
Okay. So as a response, we proposed the project that was titled Intra-University Collaboration for Advanced Research Training at University of Rwanda, with the aim of making a predoctoral research methodology adapted from CARTA Joint Advanced Seminars available and offered at the University of Rwanda. So this implied to design the course, and obviously, because it is a university, it implied also triggering a change in the policy and regulations for postgraduate training. So, okay, thank you. I think you can see the slide. So it gives a summary of the project aim, the objectives, and so on. So as it comes live to your screens. So if I come back to the interventions that Dr. Flora has just presented, at University of Rwanda, we mainstreamed the Joint Advanced Seminars intervention and into the design of a doctoral research methodology course. So it is an institutional project that started in 2017, actually in June, and it successfully ended in 2019 in or towards the end of August. So its success required the change in doctoral training practice and policy at University of Rwanda, and we did all that we could so that we could see the change. So at the beginning of that institutional project, we knew that there could be challenges like resistance to change and the other forms of challenges. We knew that we were not representing any university organ that was mandated to initiate a curriculum review. And we knew that in our project, we were to involve staff, mostly the academic staff from different schools and colleges, and we who were not under our management. And our project activities were not separately remunerated. But we were convinced that we could bring about change and find solutions to problems and challenges as we face them. So we devised some strategies that could help us actually make this project and its output happen. So our first strategy was to identify key stakeholders for the success of the project and convince them to own our project, actually, to buy our idea, so that we don't be considered as people who are bringing a product for people to consume. We showed them that we want to support them so that they can make themselves the product. So the very important task that was there was to actually convince them that there is a problem first, show them the gap, and then show them that there is a possibility of filling the gap by using the internal resources to UR, and that the problem was just to put together those capacities that were scattered across different colleges. So it took us time running activities that were related to such an objective. This is just the first objective of awareness. And until April 2018, we found that we have achieved the objective. And through a meeting we organized under the name of Forum of Doctoral Training Stakeholders at University of Rwanda, all colleges accepted to participate and to involve their staff in the design of the course. So at University of Rwanda, actually, course is the name that is common for use is module. So we accepted to design the module, and all colleges were there. So our role actually, as explained to them, was to support them, not to make a product for them. So it worked. So each college from selected schools appointed academic staff that were mandated to design the course. So they were actually grouped at university level under a committee that was given a name of a team of technical experts to design a doctoral research methodology course. And at that time, it was still called a pre-doctoral research methodology course, because the regulations that were there could not allow us to design a course into a curriculum as it was not a mandatory for school to teach such a course. So we supported the team. We organized retreats and workshops in which they designed the module. And in that second strategy, whereby we wanted really academics and heads, directors, and managers of units to own the activity and the product. During those activities, the members of the technical team of experts actually built networks among them, and there was a high or improvement in their awareness of CARTA interventions and activities actually in the partnering institutions. That was an additional to the design of the module. And so the task then of our group was to make sure that the university regulations are followed so that our product will be approved in the future. Second was to make sure that the CARTA innovations in the joint advanced seminars will be mainstreamed in the research methodology curriculum. So we designed a guiding document to the team, and we were members of the team actually to oversee and make sure that everything happens within the university regulations, and then we mainstream the intervention. So it was successful, and towards January 2019, that is when we started the process of looking at how the module can be approved, because having it was not enough. To make sure that is delivered, we had to pass it through the approval process. And again, there was still a policy that would document, that is the general regulations for postgraduate studies at UR. They were expected to document that this course is mandatory and it should be taught by all schools. So we were also in need of the policy change. So, but at the same time, the UR Academic Senate also felt that the teaching of research methodology course is mandatory. They made the decision that all PhD students enrolled should undertake a doctoral methodology course. And what was remaining was just to document it in the regulations. So that's the activity that we supported so that it can happen financially, and we participated actually, actively, and it did happen. So after that, it was not very difficult to make it approved up to the final stage of the academic senate. So it happened, the module was approved by the Senate, and it was documented in the regulations that the module is mandatory. And by the end of 2000, so it is a long process of approval, and the module was submitted before the end of the project, but because the project could not wait until it is approved, but we were hoping that we fulfilled all the requirements. So the module was actually approved, I think in January this year, by the University Senate, where I was even invited to give more explanations, but actually they were needed. I only attended because the Directorate of Postgraduate Studies at UR had took everything in its hands. So to summarize, the activities of the projects were around the three objectives that you see there. Just to raise awareness, develop the course, and to have it approved. The product or the project output is was actually one at the beginning, but in the process we found that there was also a required project output that was a revision of the postgraduate studies which we supported. So in a brief, that is the project and the different the strategies that we took, and we're just built about building ownership or getting ownership of our project by the direct beneficiaries. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Francio. So we can go on to Funke, but I just want to appreciate the comprehensive nature of preparations that went through at the University of Rwanda, even as they had this project go on to it to the end of the project. So Funke, we can go to you.
Thank you, Flora. So at the University of Ibadan, we have several CARTA interventions, and I'm still going to talk about the institutionalization project, but I think it's important for us to mention what we've been doing at the University of Ibadan. We have infrastructural intervention in terms of the hostel accommodation for graduate students, which is also used by CARTA Fellow coming to attend JAS3. That is one, and was done some years ago. And then another one, we got another infrastructural grants, and we refurbished the faculty library and the graduate seminar room at the Faculty of the Social Sciences. And also from infrastructural grants also, we were able to rehabilitate the power supply to the main library at the College of Medicine in terms of infrastructural intervention. Another one is strengthening the institutional facilities that support research. And one very outstanding one is the first subscription to the Turnitin anti-plagiarism software for the University of Ibadan. This was paid for by CARTA, and this is really very good for our postgraduate training. And then, of course, more than 100 members of staff have attended CARTA faculty and administrative staff workshop in different parts of the continent, courtesy of CARTA. So we see this as strengthening the institutional facility that supports research. Also, of course, we have 3 senior faculty from Ibadan, and they've had benefit of holding visiting faculty appointments at other CARTA partner institutions. So we see this as strengthening the institutional facility that supports research. Now, apart from this, recently we got 2 main institutionalization grants, 2 small grants from CARTA. And the first one started December 2018 precisely. And the purpose was to institutionalize a training manual on reference management, literature searching, and plagiarism checker. And we work in collaboration with the postgraduate college. We actually wrote the proposal together with the postgraduate college. And in terms of strategy, we use CARTA JAS1 training resources to develop a manual adapted to meet the requirements of the University of Ibadan. In doing this, we had 2 workshops with the librarians and other stakeholders to validate the manual. And then we engaged some CARTA fellow and graduates to train junior faculty who will serve as trainers to other doctoral students in the university. Now, for this project, we are almost rounding up, and but the public presentation of the manual was delayed because of the COVID-19 lockdown and then the industrial action at the university. So, but we decided to make it available on the postgraduate college website, and currently we are at the stage of getting the required documentation and uploading it online for students to freely access it. So the 2018 institutionalization grant project on training manual based on JAS1 is almost rounding up. The second one was after the Vice Chancellor meeting at the University of Rwanda in 2019. And the purpose for that second one was to institutionalize joint advanced seminar 1 to 4 by reviewing the doctoral training curriculum at the University of Ibadan. For us, this is really a big deal for us because we know that we need to review the curriculum. And so having the support of the university management to do this is really very important to us. And in terms of strategy, we are adapting CARTA JAS1 to 4 curriculum, and we are integrating it as required courses with credit units in the postgraduate college. This is with full support of the postgraduate college of the university. And you know, for this second grant, adaptation of JAS curricula, which is originally public health discipline, require organization of doctoral students into group with shared interests. So for 16 faculties in the university, the first thing we did was to cluster the faculty into 6 based on their discipline. And so the curriculum is being reviewed for 6 clusters of faculty, institutes, and center in the university for this one. And to achieve this, we started with writing workshop. So we did series of writing and curriculum review workshop with representative of postgraduate college curriculum committee, because it is important for us to have the buy-in of the postgraduate college. So we have representative of postgraduate college curriculum committee attending the retreat, the writing workshop. We have some CARTA fellows, mostly we have more CARTA graduates, as well as a focal person in the university. We have some other stakeholders in the university joining us in reviewing the curriculum. For now, for this second project, we have the draft and we are waiting approval at the postgraduate board and the university senate. But there is industrial action, COVID-19 lockdown. So that's the state of the grants that we have at the University of Ibadan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Funke. As we wait to hear from Sande, I will encourage each of us, the attendees, to just let us know where you're logged in from. Tell us whether you're a CARTA fellow or whether you're a partner or whether you're interested in mainstreaming. And so this was a worthwhile webinar to attend to. And so we will encourage you to just make use of the chat box and give us details of who is logged in. And as you also do that, we encourage you to seek clarification from any of the panelists using either the chat box or even the Q&A section, and also interact with us via Twitter using our hashtag CARTA10. So Sande, over to you.
Thank you, Flora. So for us at the Obafemi Awolowo University, the call for institutionalizing the CARTA innovation at Patna institutions came at a time that we already started some form of capacity strengthening activities. I remember when I finished my PhD program and postdoctoral program in South Africa, I came back to Nigeria. My department, Demography and Social Statistics, then created what is called a capacity strengthening unit, and I was made the chair of that unit. So we started some form of capacity strengthening activities. We got some grant support from Carnegie Corporation of New York. And so we had some exchange program from colleagues from Johns Hopkins University in the United States. So we've been doing some of these activities prior to the call. And when the call came in, we felt that, wow, this is actually responding to the yearnings of our heart. And the reasons are not far to seek. It's simply because within the university, OAU, some departments had a very strong research method courses, while in some departments you don't have that. So you have this standard very high somewhere and standard not so high elsewhere. So in order to ensure this uniformity and standard across the different departments within the university, I would like to share the slides as I continue to speak. So when the call came in, we then felt that this is actually meeting the yearnings that we had and that we've been working on. And so we came together.
Sande, would you want to, okay, I was wondering whether you can put it in terms of the full screen.
Yes,
but I think it's Word. That's okay.
No, it's okay. PowerPoint.
It's
All
Word.
right.
Okay.
Yes, it's PowerPoint. So basically we then came together across those disciplines that are part of CARTA, particularly disciplines focusing on population and public health training within the university. So we came together and we tried to develop the proposal to bid for the grant. And so it's titled It's Threat Tool. It has become something very popular within the university, intervention towards strengthening research training in Obafemi Awolowo University. And so basically we had two objectives, very straightforward objectives. First is to seek to mainstream some of the innovations of CARTA, particularly into the population and public health programs in OAU. And then in the course of doing that, we were optimistic then when we came up with a proposal that we will be able to mainstream the curriculum into the regular postgraduate program in OAU. So then we got the grant, and then we started. And then so within the entire body of the work, the target was to have 3 major interventions. The first is what we call joint seminar series, which mirrors the Qatar's advanced seminar series. So in order to upscale competencies in critical thinking, in conceptualization of research ideas, in literature review, effective literature search and review, to ensure and enforce academic integrity, and also the areas of research methodology and scientific data analysis and scientific writing. So that is the first intervention that we had. So the second intervention is the supervisor's academic retreat, which basically also to gather supervisors where we discuss international best practice in terms of doctoral supervision, ensuring contract between the supervisors and supervisees, and all that. So the third component of our project is what we call graduate training stakeholders forum. Graduate training stakeholders forum, and basically what that intervention aimed to achieve was to gather critical stakeholders in the postgraduate training in OAU together, and where institutional barriers to the quality delivery of doctoral training are discussed, and then with a view to addressing them. So those are the 3 different interventions that we had. So the program straight to started in 2017, and we're rounding up now. So we've had out of the 4 seminar series, we've had 3. We are conducting the last seminar in November this year, and then we then wrap up with the program. Then we've also had supervisors workshop as well. The aim is to have it once in a year, and then we've also had the graduate training stakeholders forum, and then some critical decisions came up from that meeting, culminating in producing decision extracts, which will positively impact on doctoral training, generally postgraduate training in OAU. So those are the various activities that we consider that we were implementing within the program. So to touch briefly on, I know we can still talk more about strategies, but to talk briefly about how we were able to go about this project. In our own case, the current Vice Chancellor of Obafemiolo University happened to be the pioneer Qatar focal person for the university. So we pitched it very high, at the very highest level, and that was very important for the success of the project. And then from the level of the Vice Chancellor, we move on to involve critical stakeholders like a Deputy Vice Chancellor and academics. We had very expanded steering committee, which comprised Deputy Vice Chancellor academic, the Provost of the College of Postgraduate College, the Deputy Provost, and all the Director, Central Office of Research, and then the Head of Department of the partner institutions, as well as other key stakeholders, even from the bursary, from different units, those that either directly or indirectly have something to do with the postgraduate training. So we had that, and then I can talk later about some of the resistance that the project met, but because of the very strong governance structure, we're able to maneuver away and then overcome those different challenges. So these are the three interventions that we had. And then in the interest of time, I think I can talk more subsequently on some of the processes that we engage and strategies that led to the success. But I'd like to place it on record that because of this very strong support from the postgraduate college, the second objective of this project, which is to mainstream some of the curriculums into the regular postgraduate program, I'm happy to announce that that objective has also been achieved. Even before the end of the project, the University Senate has approved university-wide curriculum, which centers on university-wide teaching of research method courses, not just in one department, but across all the departments for all the doctoral students, which will be made mandatory for all doctoral students in the university. And this is being spearheaded by the provost and all the board members in the postgraduate college. And so that's a very big achievement for the project of mainstreaming the CARTA innovation in Obafemi Awolowo University. So I'd like to stop there, then I can talk more on some of the processes as we continue in the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As a panelist shared with us what strategies they've put in place, keywords kept on screaming from what they were talking about. The word ownership, the word strategy, the word planning, the word getting different stakeholders in place. And I just want to push the next question to Funke and ask her. I know you mentioned that there are several interventions that your institution has been carrying out, but I want to focus on the two institutionalization projects that you have. What motivated you as an institution to think of these two projects?
Okay, thank you, Flora. Now, for us at the University of Ibadan, we have a doctoral program curriculum, and over the years, we've done several changes to it, and it keeps expanding. Although the postgraduate college graduates about 400 PhD students annually, more than 60% of registered doctoral students are unable to complete their PhD program on time. You know, when I say on time, we have a minimum of 6 semesters for full-time and 8 semesters for part-time registration. And what in layman language, it means 2 out of 5 registered PhD students graduates on time. That is not good. We realize that among other factors, there is a critical gap in capacity and skill necessary for successful on-time completion of doctoral study. And we also observe that we need to improve the curriculum to reflect the dynamics of the 21st century educational system and the labor market. And this is where CARTA JAS innovation comes in. It's well known that the JASs have been of immense benefit to CARTA fellows. We have evidence of timely completion of their PhD, intellectual outputs in high impact journal. And as at the last count I can see on the site, we have 855 peer-reviewed publications by the fellow. That is really outstanding. So we see this evidence, we see this CARTA innovation can really be helpful. So the university management team, the postgraduate college management recognize the unique advantage of CARTA training and pedagogy and the potential to make a major positive impact despite the paucity of funds common to institutions in Africa. I mean, we can't take that away, but we know that this is innovation that has been tested and is best practices. So we decided to adopt it. And so in summary, the key motivation for the two CARTA innovations are to improve the quality of postgraduate training, improve on-time completion rate, and have quality outputs in terms of scholarly publication at the end of doctoral training. So for the two projects, that is our key motivation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Funke. It's really good to see that the top management, as you mentioned, was really part of this particular conceptualization in the two cases, and different stakeholders, as you mentioned, came on board and you are able to identify the gaps and push the agenda of having the two projects mainstreamed to the next level. Sunday, I know you gave us quite a comprehensive view of the strategies that are going on at your institution, at the OAU institution. I want to just walk out of OAU a bit and ask you, Sunday, as an individual, in your opinion, based on your experience of what you've gone through in this project at OAU, what are the greatest, most important processes that one has to have in place while considering mainstreaming various interventions within an institution? Sunday?
Thank you, Flora. Yes, processes and strategies are very key for, must be well mapped out for any program, any intervention to be successful. If you are not strategic about it, then it's going to die on arrival, or even dead even before it arrives. So some of the important processes and strategies that I think were very critical, either for the projects at OAU or if any Qatar partner institution aims to mainstream such intervention in their university. It's important to have very strong monitoring and evaluation process in place. By that, you do the evaluation of the postgraduate program within the university to really know, to identify the gaps and those barriers that affect quality doctoral thesis production. So with pre-evaluation, you'll be able to know what has really militated against quality doctoral training in the past. And then that enables you to have a very clear approach as to what you need to do and then how to go about it. So a very strong monetary evaluation is very important for any intervention to be successful. So that's one. Then number two, you need a very strong governance structure, such that it leverages the existing university structure. You don't want to come from the moon. You don't just want to impose something on people, but rather you leverage on the structure within the university system, so that they don't see you as an outsider. They don't see you as somebody who is trying to impose something on them, but they see you as part of the system. You are not trying to invent something completely new. You're just trying to improve on what is on ground, and that was also part of what made the Strato project at OAU very successful. So very governance structure that leverages the existing structure within the university system, and that's very key. And why that is important is also because you are going to meet a lot of resistance in terms of you bringing in some ideas, some new things. So if you don't have a very strong governance structure in place, the program is also going to die on arrival, or may not make any impact. And it will be likened to you having a lot of funds that is being put in the hole without any impact. So such a very strong governance structure is very important. And also the third point that I would really highlight is connected to that is engaging the critical stakeholder sensitization and engagement of critical stakeholders, those that really matter. In other words, for example, when you use the example of the Strato project at OAU, you are coming up with a project and you don't have the authority by the virtue of your position, either you're a senior lecturer or professor. So you are not the provost of a postgraduate college. You don't have the wherewithal to change the policy, to change the rules, to change the regulations. And so that calls for sensitization of key stakeholders, that calls for rigorous engagement with them, so that they see this as being supportive, as being giving support to whatever they are doing to make their work much easier. So that's a very important critical element to engage and then to sensitize, so that they can have the buy-in, and then they can have, and that really was one of what made the project at OAU very successful. I know you've asked me to step out of OAU to talk generally, so I'm trying to talk generally, but at the same time to not to give something that looks abstract in terms of my response, but also to give some very concrete information about what has worked, which if time-tested principles that possibly will work elsewhere if well applied. So at the Obafemi University, as I've mentioned, there were powerful forces within the university that said, look, this program is not going to be successful. We can assure you that this is going to fail. This is not going to be successful. But because of some of those processes I've mentioned in terms of a strong governance system, in terms of having sensitization and engagement with those who can represent you within the Senate, that can rewrite the rules and the regulations. So it makes the journey very smooth, make the journey very, very easy. If you don't do that, then you are not going to succeed. And so that's one of the strategies that really helped make the program at the Obafemi University very successful, even beyond the objectives that have been highlighted, because the objective was very clear that to mainstream some of the CARTA innovations in population and public health programs. But it has gone beyond that now. It has gone beyond just public health and population health programs within the university. The postgraduate college led by the provost is taking it up. I remember just last 2 weeks, we had the third seminar series, and the provost participated in that program throughout. It was virtual, and then she had to sit in those sessions throughout the period. And so what else do you want to achieve other than the buy-in of those critical stakeholders within the university? So at the end of the session, she was even begging us that we really need to make the curriculum available to the postgraduate college. And we did respond that the curriculums are actually not our property. It's the property of the postgraduate college. At the expiration of this project, even before the expiration of the project, the curriculum becomes automatically the property of the postgraduate college. And so engaging critical stakeholders, sensitizing them, having them on board, it's a very important strategy. Maybe I should talk of one more process in the interest of time. For you to achieve and to succeed, there's need to identify those who are committed, who are research active within the university. I don't believe the narrative that African institutions are bad. As someone would say that in every poor country, in every poor nation, you have rich people there. And in every rich country, you also have poor people there. So I repeat, in every rich nation, you have poor people there. And in every poor country, you have rich people that are categorized as rich. So in all African universities, you have people who are research active, who are committed, while you also have a whole lot who do not do so much with their time as far as leading research is concerned. So it's important to make a program like this very successful, to identify those who are very research active across the within the university and even outside, and then engage them, bring them on board, and they will be selfless. They will be passionate about it at little or no benefit, with no monetary benefit. They are going to be passionate because just like you are paying a bird for flying, bird has been created to fly in the first instance, and you are paying a fish to swim within the water, body of water. That is the mission. That is what fish have been created for initially. So when you give them little in terms of mentoring to support, and I can tell some of the members of this retro team at OAU, I can mention names that they can teach from now till with little or no benefit. And I really like to pay tribute to everyone who has been member of the CARTA Innovation Project, Institutionalization Projects in OAU. I'd like to pay a glowing tribute to them with little or no benefit, because when we're developing the proposal, the budget was very clear that there was not going to be much benefit or no benefit at all for the members, and yet we come up with, because of the passion that people have. So on that point, I want to emphasize clearly that across every institution, there are quality people. Across all the universities, there are quality people, and those ones must be identified and worked with, and they can be change agents, they can be transformation agents across our institutions. So with that, little funding being raised, we'll go a long way. Like in the case of the project at OAU, I'm also happy to announce that the process of mainstreaming CARTA Innovation OAU is going to outlive the current project because of the involvement of those, involving them who are passionate, whose passion is to see changes, is to so because of that, because of their involvement, because of leveraging on the structure, governance structure. So the process of mainstreaming the CARTA Innovation is going to outlive this project that ends in December. So those are some of the processes that we're engaged in OU, and that I think can be successful elsewhere. That's an institution that aims to do some form of capacity strengthening intervention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sunday. As you are speaking, I was just admiring your passion. So even as you mentioned the word passion, I could see it in you, in the same way that when Francois was talking earlier on about what is happening in University of Rwanda, if you noticed, he did not want to end because he had so much to say. Funke had so much to say about all the interventions that are taking place in, at the University of Ibadan. It just shows that for such a project to succeed, there is need for passion. And I'll just use the words that Sunday has made use of. He talked about there's need for passion, there's need for monitoring and evaluation and making sure that everything is in place. He referred to governance structures being there, and he also referred to ownership. And I know later on I was going to ask the question about who should we keep close to us? But I think, Sunday, you have covered that well by explaining who needs to be close to us in terms of the top management, in terms of researchers who have the passion, in terms of the relevant offices being in place. And so we all need to be cautious whenever we are coming up with any interventions or mainstreaming of any interventions within an institution, that we have these particular components. I don't want to leave out Francia in this discussion, and I want to ask him a question. Now that the institutionalization project at the University of Sunday, what do you consider the key components of success to this particular project?
Okay, thank you so much. For us to succeed, there was many things that were involved, and there were many people who involved in the project activities. So to remind us, the institutionalization project at University of Rwanda was to bring about important improvement in the delivery of research methodology at doctoral level by mainstreaming CARTA joint advanced seminars. So this required actually, or meant to change or to improve the curriculum. And so this could not be possible without the support of the institution at different levels. So there was also, and there is at University of Rwanda, an enabling legal framework. These are policies and guidelines that give people a way of initiating either courses or programs. So we have guidelines, we have policies that really give us a conducive environment to do that. In addition to that, so there was also a responsive finance unit at university. You know that sometimes to organize workshops, retreats, and so on, you need also people to have some lunch and so on, or they need to be at in a space or an environment where they can work appropriately. So there was a responsive finance. And I want to mention here that at University of Rwanda, we have a specific unit that is mandated to support the management of all project funds. That the single project implementation unit, meaning that the research funds or the project funds are not mixed with the university funds. So, and the access for implementers of projects becomes easier and a bit timely. So us as implementing team, we dealt only with the project activities. We were not dealing with money or procurement issues, and this was also key to the swift progress of our activities.
Thank you.
So this was at University of Rwanda. But on the other hand, there was CARTA management. So CARTA management was always ready to provide support anytime it was needed. So we were sending most of the time requests for advice or requests for approval, and CARTA management was always ready to respond and to make the decisions that are really flexible, that enabled us to direct funds where they could lead to more significant impacts in the progress of our project activities. So there was internal and external support actually. And in addition to that, there was a strong commitment. So our team was okay. So as Sandy said, we were in the team, we were all committed. So we're not idle. I want to mention here that we were 3 CARTA fellows in the project, including Dr. Celestine and Dr. Wize Diedon and myself. So the intervention of CARTA actually started with us when we were PhD students. And so it built in us that kind of commitment to actually deliver. Once you are committed, so the team had also a team spirit, where any team member was always ready to accept and assume the responsibilities of the principal investigator anytime and anywhere that it was required. Because of the structure of the university, we were implementing the project from a different campus in the south of the country, while the headquarters, where most of the financial and administrative processes are finalized. So if anybody was in Kigali, could just assume the responsibility of the PI and carry out the duties so that the project can move swiftly. So that was a team spirit, and it happened even when Diedone had to leave for the postdoc. So I took over without any problem because we were all engaged at the same level in the project. So these are some of the key components that led us to the success. There are many, but which cannot be covered in this very short time webinar. So maybe conversations will continue later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Francio.
Can you just give me 1 minute, Flora, please?
Yes, go on.
I'm sorry to cut in.
That's okay.
It's also actually buttressing the points of commitment from anyone who really wants to bring about a change, who really wants to be change agents. You cannot overemphasize the issue of commitment on on their part. For example, giving specific example from our own case, 5 of us wrote the project, the proposal. Out of the 5 people, 4 of us at some point in time were outside the university. I was in South Africa for a reasonable amount of time. Another colleague was at Harvard University in the United States for sabbatical. Another colleague was at APHRS, even with you in Kenya. So at different points in time, people were outside of the university and the project was running. So everybody was really ready to assume as Francois mentioned, was ready to assume the role of a principal investigator, because the focus was not individual, the focus was the institution. And that's something that any institution that really wants to do some of this intervention must have the focus very clear. So the focus was not just any individual. It was not that I am the principal investigator, or you are the principal investigator, or I am this, I am that. No, it is the focus is the institution, and the aim is very clear to improve doctoral training. And so with that kind of team spirit, I think development programs on the African continent can really be largely successful. Once it's not self-seeking, it's not self-centered, it is for the aim of selfless service to bring about changes. So I just wanted to chip that in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the chat box, still waiting for some chats on areas of clarification. But as I look at the chat box, I notice that we have members from University of Ibadan, from Mo University, from Bomet University. We also have some fellows from Obafemi Awolowo University. And we have both fellows and focal persons and staff members of the universities represented in this particular chat box. I hope I mentioned University of Rwanda. University of Rwanda is also represented. I can see one of our funders. How are you, Andrea? Good to see Andrea, one of our funders from Carnegie. Thank you very much for joining in. We really appreciate the contribution that our various funders have made to the CARTA program. And a question that has come from Andrea is, and I think this is to Funke, has a paper been published on the CARTA institutionalization efforts? If not, is someone being prepared? This is a very important topic. Funke, would you want to comment about that?
Okay, probably I should combine that with this issue of the theory of change and then having CARTA fellow, or what do you think? I think I should
go on. Yes, that would be good.
Okay, so the first question is from Professor Han, and I said, well, I'm going to answer that question after this one. But to Andrea, yes, we are working on the publication currently. We're using outcome harvesting methodology, and we realize that we still need to go back to the institutions to collect more information and to confirm the information we have. So hopefully before the end of the year, something good will come out of CARTA innovation, institutionalization, and the theory of change. We will bring something out of that. Now, and then to follow up what Sunday and Francis said earlier about commitment, in my thought, I said, well, you are CARTA fellows. You are trained to be agents of change. So we don't expect anything less. And I'm going to answer this question on how can the Patna University optimize the engagement of fellows in mainstreaming intervention within the institution. Now, the truth is the 230 CARTA fellows and graduates are trained to be agents of change. From the beginning, from month 1 to the 48th month, all your training is focused at making you change agents in your university. And each partner institution must recognize this orientation. And therefore, our expectation based on experience over time is both current fellow and graduates will be involved in intervention by assigning responsibility to them and giving them opportunity to serve in roles where their skills and capacity will be put to effective use. Now, I like from the University of Rwanda and Obafemi Awolowo's university perspective, but you need to, as focal person, as institution, we need to give this assign responsibility to the fellows. They are trained to be agents of change. And so we need to help them to build up this capacity. And another example from the University of Ibadan is the issue of the institutionalization of CARTA Innovation. And we are driving this with a lot of input from CARTA fellows and graduates. And they're spread across different faculties, centers, and institutes in Nigeria. And the inclusion was to ensure quality and appropriate adaptation of the JAS curricula because of their experience during the fellowship period, and then to build their capacity as emerging leader of the institution. So we don't expect anything less from a CARTA fellow, but we as an institution need to recognize that. We need to recognize the fact that these are emerging leaders, and we need to give them opportunity to do it. And sincerely, you see them with their commitment, you see them with their passion, you see them in diverse dimensions. If we as institution give them opportunity, then we optimize the mainstreaming of intervention into our institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Funke, I think that will lead us to the next question that relates to Anne's question. I want you to touch on the challenges. In the interest of time, I would have loved all of us to talk about the challenges that we have experienced, but I think I'll give this question to Funke as we head towards the end of our time together. So tell us about the challenges you have experienced while mainstreaming the project.
Like majority of other universities in Nigeria and Africa, University of Ibadan is not insulated from the peculiar challenges which are institutional, some are structural, some are procedural in nature. And the typical challenges affecting universities include industrial action. For example, in Nigeria, we've been on industrial action for the past 6-7 months now, and not paid for 3 months. So it's really very, very strong. That's one big challenge. And then the bureaucracy, the insufficient capacity to co-fund intervention and projects. I mean, CARTA will give us a particular intervention for, but the university, the system should be able to co-fund the intervention and the project. But this is not possible because there is paucity of funds. And then the lack of infrastructure for training and research. We have that. So in one way or another, these challenges have affected the process of institutionalization of CARTA innovation assets. Now to Professor Hans' question, let me give you an example of how the challenges have affected. For the first 2018 institutionalization grant of developing the training manual, we finished the training manual. It took some time for the money to come out. That's the bureaucracy part. And then we developed the manual. We worked without even during the strike, we were working. But we finished and we realized that we cannot do a public presentation because there is industrial action. And so we felt, okay, so what do? We decided to put it on the postgraduate college website. There are some that you cannot control. It depends on your institutionalization grant. For instance, we need to wait for the University Senate and postgraduate college to approve the curriculum review. There's nothing we can do about that. But there are some that we can control. We can go around it in one way or the other. So for that first grant, for the 2018 grant, we are hoping to put it on the postgraduate college website instead of distributing hard copies to students. And then we hope they will be able to access it freely. So irrespective of the challenges, there's always a way out, one way or the other, but it all depends on your institutionalization project. But that's what we've been doing at the University of Ibadan. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question, ma'am.
Yes, you have, Funke. Thank you very much. I would have requested the rest of the panelists to tell us or to feed us in on the challenges, but in the interest of time, I will go on to another area. But let me also acknowledge the University of Mashidisho University, that's in Witwatersrand, and also University of Nairobi, that is also tuned in at this particular time. I want to touch on a perspective that many individuals have when they think of mainstreaming projects. And many believe that projects are meant for a particular department or a particular institution, and that they operate in a silo kind of manner. And I just want to hear from the panelists, even as we come close to the end, what do you think about CARTA in relation to influencing not just the departments, not just the institutions, but the wider African region. So I just want to hear a quick response from Funke on what they have done in the institution of at the University of Ibadan to ensure that this is not just a story within the department, but that it has effects in other institutions. And thereafter, we will hear from Sunday as to where he believes the whole aspect of higher education and research should be in the next 10 years. Funke, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to combine two things together. I'm going to talk about how we worked at the University of Ibadan. We worked with the Postgraduate College. Now, the Postgraduate College coordinates 16 faculty, as well as centers and institutes that undertake postgraduate training across the university. But also, the University of Ibadan is the hub of doctoral training in Nigeria. And whatever we do, we have multiplier effect on other institutions through our doctoral students who are lecturers and researchers in other institutions in Nigeria. So for us, whatever we do at the University of Ibadan, we are thinking of this larger picture, that this is the hub of doctoral training. So we are training the doctoral candidates, and we are looking at other universities in the south, in the north, in the west, and in the east of the country and saying, oh, there is really a great multiplier effect of whatever we do. So the curriculum review, we had that in mind. We're thinking we want to improve the quality of doctoral, of postgraduate training at the University of Ibadan. And then secondly, as an institution, we need to consider mainstreaming capacity strengthening intervention within our institution. Now, let me try and link this with CARTA experiments. CARTA experiments of having JASIs and all the capacity strengthening best practices are methodologically adaptable and effective. And so once you mainstream such into your institution, for us, that is what we're thinking. We mainstream this innovation, and it can help us to improve the quality of postgraduate training, enhance the global competitiveness of graduate. I remember the first seminar in this CARTA Attend seminar series, and Alex says he shared experience of how it was difficult for them to employ a postdoctoral fellow trained in Africa for some time at APHRC. Now, with this methodological, adaptable, effective experiment, then we can mainstream it into institution, and then we have good results. And then if we go ahead to adopt this tested process, it will also improve the quality of research outputs. I mean, we see that in 855 publications by CARTA Fellow. And then not only that, it will contribute to the strategic policy priority setting in Africa and setting and implementation in Africa. So, you know, it's for when I was thinking about, I said it's a win-win situation for this doctoral student, because it will ensure global competitiveness, win-win situation for the institution, because even the research outputs will likely be in high impact journal, and then we give the institution more visibility, which will probably increase their global ranking. Win-win situation for Africa, because then when we do research in Africa, we have the results, then we can set policy priority for Africa and in the implementation on it. And then for us, when we're thinking of CARTA innovation, we're thinking that this is massive investment over 10 years, generated and then put together by scholars from different parts of the world, both the northern partners and the African partner. I mean, developing the curriculum of CARTA, developing everything. It's really massive in there. And it's going to be a disadvantage if we don't sustain this intervention. So we should start thinking, so what's the best way to ensure sustainability of this intervention, of this CARTA innovation? I mean, we are thinking beyond now. We are saying even after CARTA, so what do we have? And that is the essence of mainstreaming CARTA innovations into our institution. And that's just what I want to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunday, I know this topic is one that if I gave each of the panelists about 2 more hours would still not be true. Sunday, speak to us.
Okay, thanks, Flora. You've asked me to comment on where I see Africa in terms of mainstreaming capacity strengthening intervention, and where do I see Africa in the future? Maybe, for example, next 10 years of Qatar. Will it revolutionize higher education and research space in Africa? I think my answer will be in the affirmative. I read the paper not quite long from Elsevier that the contribution of Africa in terms of knowledge generation hovers around 1 to 2%, depending on the indicators that you use. Whereas Africa comprises 12.5% of the global population, and it contributes between 1% and 2% of the global knowledge product. So that's quite very, very small in terms of what we should be doing. But on the good side, on the flip side, the good news is that in the paper that I read, I also find out that there has been massive improvement across different countries on the continent in the last 5 years. I wouldn't know why is it so confidential with the time that Qatar started. I wouldn't say that every improvement can be attributable to Qatar, but I think there are other programs also within the continent. Qatar, I know there are these programs by Association of African Universities and all those. So we have a lot of programs that are going, and so the findings that they had in that paper is that there has been very massive improvement within space of 5 years from 2010 to 2015. You see this very massive improvement in terms of knowledge generation on the continent. So you can see, if we can continue on that trajectory, we can see into the future that Africa is going to be a place where you see a lot of improvement, and that can only happen if we sustain the tempo. So the contribution of Africa in terms of knowledge generation to the global, we're in the global knowledge economy globally. So African contribution is going to increase as we continue. Let me just give this very little illustration. For example, during my PhD program, my supervisor invited a colleague from Southampton University to come and teach us multi-level modeling. Just 1 day course, a 1 day session, and then he flew back. And then after that, I've taught several students, I've taught colleagues. Just 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a professor who said the student that I taught him. So the ripple effect is going to be very enormous if we share knowledge, if we don't keep to ourselves what we know. And so either formally or informally, I see Africa growing in terms of its contribution to the global contribution to the global economy. And I really want to pay tribute also to the pioneer of Qatar for the kind of vision they had, repositioning Africa in global knowledge production. So we just have to start somewhere. And so if this had not started 10 years ago, so what we're talking about now will not be there. So I see this also going to the future, improving very enormously. But of course, there are going to be challenges. But the other thing that I really want to, before I stop in the interest of time, is that it's not enough for us to produce papers in high impact journals. It's also very important to see the value of those publications. Patent. How many of this work that we are doing are patented? How many of them are taken up to improve the lot of Africa? We have a lot of problems in terms of population and public health problems. So to what extent do we utilize these findings? I think we also, something that Qatar really also needs to think very critically how to support its graduates, not just enough to, Funke mentioned a number of publications that have been produced, quite impressive, but we also need to think of utilization of these findings to solve African problems. And then going into the future, then Africa has a lot to offer in terms of knowledge generation, in terms of addressing our home problems. Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you very
Flora,
much.
if I can just add to that, I've pasted on the platform, on the chat platform, CARTA Fellows Scientific Contribution to the African Public and Population Health Research from 2011 to 2018. I think we should all read it. It's really very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Funke, for sharing that. As we come to the end, I know we are 7 minutes past our time. I just want to give the panelists 1 minute each to give us your parting shot, noting the fact that we have different people who logged in today. We have fellows, we have focal persons, we have interested parties who would want to maybe begin an intervention or to mainstream a particular intervention within their institution within 1 minute. And I'll start with Francio. Please give us your parting shot. You're muted, please. Francio, you're muted.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this time to give me my final remarks. I would just summarize them in that for our institution, it is really a great opportunity to be part of CARTA. And it was for me really a big privilege to lead a mainstreaming of CARTA Intervention project at University of Rwanda. So it contributed to a great improvement in doctoral training. And if it was not there, what we achieved could take many years to happen when you look at the progress. So we remain proud of being part of CARTA community. And therefore, I am thankful to CARTA program management, the people who initiated the program, and these people who continue to support CARTA program. I am confident that many people at my University of Rwanda, in Africa and beyond, will continue benefiting from CARTA intervention for many years to come. And so on this note, I thank you, Flora, for having invited me to participate in this conversation. And a big thank you to all participants to our conversation. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Funke?
Okay, so, well, I also acknowledge the funders. We have Andrea here and the CARTA Consortium, also the university management for supporting us, and the focal person for University of Ibadan, the first board chairman of CARTA the first chairman of CARTA Board of Management. And this is our parting shot. The key issue in mainstreaming research capacity is strengthening intervention and collaboration, partnership, and inclusiveness. We need to hone the innovation and accept that they are for our own good and for creating better opportunity for future generations in Africa. I mean, that is why we have CARTA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sunday.
Thank you. It's interesting that we've come to the end of the conversation. So, but also I would like to thank the organizer for inviting us to be part of this conversation, and also to thank the funders for giving the funding to support this initiative at the Obafemi Awolowo University. And then also to thank everyone who has contributed to the success of the project at OAU. Time will fail me to mention names, but very key is the Vice Chancellor was given the enabling environment, as well as other stakeholders, the Provost of Postgraduate College. So the parting shot is just that the gains from mainstreaming CARTA innovation will be diffused even beyond the CARTA partner institution. I've taken up some appointment in other institutions, and then so though some of us are leaving some of the CARTA partner institutions, but what we have learned will still remain with us. So the gains will be diffused across different institutions in the continent. But other point that I really want to mention in the interest of time is also to stress the need for institutions to give platform for these CARTA fellows to operate. Otherwise, what they have learned, either those things will die with them, remain with them, or they are pushed out to other institutions. So it's important for them to have platform to offer what they have learned, and then we can see changes happening. I thank you very much once again. the participants, the co-panelists, and then our moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you have noticed, if I gave 2 more hours to the panelists, they have a lot to say. But since we don't have that particular amount of time, I want to, at this juncture, thank the panelists for your contribution to this particular discussion on mainstreaming research capacity strengthening interventions at our African universities. And as Funke and Sande also put it, we desire to see Africa moving on to become strong in terms of research and have an impact in the whole of the African region. So we are looking up to each of us, each of the institutions in Africa to together come up with innovations and mainstream innovations that are geared towards strengthening research within the African region. This will help us in terms of our development agenda and also impact on the society at large. We want to also take this opportunity to thank the attendees who are from different institutions. I think some of the institutions that I did not mention were Makerere University and also University of Nairobi. Thank you very much for being part of this webinar. And we look forward to having you in our next webinar, which will be on the funding landscape. And that will take place in the next 3 weeks or so. We also look forward to having you attend the scientific conference that is also planned for November. So with that, I want to say thank you and bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.
You. Bye.
Bye.